Hey guys, I'm FatBuddyCat, and this is a mini dirt track racer. Today, we have it pretty easy. We're going to concentrate on installing our foot pegs, the plastics, and a custom seat. The stock seat on this Coleman CC100X has it in the looks department. Where it's lacking is in real estate. It's not the most comfortable thing for a guy of my stature. It's a little narrow, it's a little bit firm, and besides serving its purpose, it doesn't provide much comfort. We need something a little bit longer and a little bit wider. The one on the left is obviously the factory seat. The one on the right, it's a factory seat, except it's off of a different mini bike. This would be found on a Coleman RB100 or a Megamoto MM80. They both have a little bit of an angle to them, kind of in a different place, but this seat is indeed longer. It is wider, and it's not quite as firm. The original seat mounts with 3 bolts. Those tabs are here and here. The seat goes on, bolts from the bottom. We already know how that story goes. What I did was welded in a tab from a piece of scrap that I had, the same way they did, and then I welded in another tab that goes sort of in an up and down configuration. It's actually at a little bit of an angle. But that is going to be to receive those tabs right there on the back of this seat. That one there, well, that's going to take those 2 tangs. Tangs go in, the back of the seat drops down, and we now have a tab that we can drill a couple holes in so that we can get a nut and bolt to hold the thing on. The front covers up the original, and in the rear you can still see where the handle is when you go to grab the bike. I just grabbed the Sharpie with one hand, and I push down firm with the other hand. That way the plastic, we'll call it seat pan, was resting on the top of the tab, and then I marked 2 holes. Kind of hard to see with the glare, but there you go. Now we'll move the seat, and we should be able to get our drill in this way and get those out. The pilots are going to be the trickiest. Nah, it's not going that way. It's at a weird angle and the drill's not long enough. I even got in there and, you know, made a nice punch mark So I'm gonna have to transfer the location to the back side where we can just do it like a normal person. Frustrating, but hey, it's what happens when you're a genius. I worked them out, gave them all I got. We'll drill it and see how old Eagle Eye here did. Yeah, the kid still got it. If you're gonna do something like this, make sure you cover your engine. You don't want any shrapnel getting down inside the ports or really anywhere near it if you have to. After a few reams moving up in my drill bits, it's not going to be many. I'll vacuum the area thoroughly and be sure to get everything I can. I just dump all my bits out on the floor, and then I use a process of elimination. Not using those or those, not these, definitely not that one. Nope. Ooh, that's a crowd pleaser. I think you know what I'm after. Something. Oh, that's too big. Maybe that one. Here's my new hardware. And here is the same hardware installed for a nice factory look. I can live with that. There's a little gap right here, but when you sit on it, that all goes away. I think we only have one thing left to drill, depending on how the number plate goes. These are 1PZ foot pegs that I buy on Amazon. This is the third set, I think, I've purchased, so they're not bad, and they are a direct fit. You can use the stock pins. They're a little bit smaller. The ones that come with these are, you know, mid-sized dookie. Small pin will definitely go through that hole and this hole. The big pin doesn't. There's plenty of cyborg meat, so if we bore that out, it's pretty much not going to hurt anything. So we're going for it. These particular drill bits are so cheap you can't even read the number for the size anymore. But that's all it took. Just one. Drilled it through, gave it a little ream. Pin passes through without resistance. Later on, I might go back and touch up that bare metal. For now, we're just going to get the installation done. These pins can and will lie. Instead of boring the hole bigger, you know it's going to go through. Sometimes a little persuasion goes a long way. I'm going to go whacking the heck out of it. It's just having something close by to give it a, you know what I mean? There's a left and a right on these springs. This is for the right side. There's a wide mouth and a narrow mouth. The wide mouth goes over the peg, just like that. We're going to be bending the narrow one back so it'll be on the same side. The pin will go through the middle and out the bottom. Alright, so mine are a little bit tight. This one still works. The one on the right side, it's so close. But it's just a little too tight for the spring to do its thing. I could bend the tab down a little, or we could take just a little bit off of the peg body itself. Since the spring side fits so nicely because it's supposed to, I'm going to be removing a little bit of material off the top side. It's not going to be very much. I'm just holding mine and kissing it up to the wheel on my bench grinder, but you could also do this with a 4.5-inch angle grinder, maybe even a file. Put it in your vise and then just work away carefully. If you're using an angle grinder, you could probably get away with a flapper disc. You can touch up your bare aluminum if you're after a color match, or maybe you want to do some other accents. That's the color right there. The 1PZ foot pegs come with the correct size pins for this. That's one of the stock ones. They're just a little bit bigger. I happen to use them on another project, so I'm going to do like a double pin thing. Put one of these in each one and then one of those. Maybe like bend it around it or something so neither one can come off. It's not going to not work. Ideally, I'd like to have the bigger pins, but look at that action. I even did the other side. So, if you give them a trim, do it up on the top. Sitting on this mini bike, the seat is 100% better. It feels great. I can sit back further, so my approach to the peg is a lot more natural feeling. It really opens things up, and it was only a couple inches that we moved back, but the seat itself being longer, so I could be 4 inches further back than I was before trying to stay on that little one. As far as the pegs, well, this side we're still going to do the fan shroud and the starter, so we'll lose a little bit, but this is definitely an upgrade. You have a lot of real estate there, and you can feel those little spikes. On the business end over here, well, we raised the engine 1/2 inch. I came back 2 to 4 inches, and now we go, I'm sorry, these pants are kind of baggy here. If I do that, you can really see where I am. Alright, I'm to the side and almost below the driver. We're still going to do some sort of a cover on here, but if I'm wearing jeans or some riding boots like I should be, then I'll be a-okay. If you're afraid of things like that, you're never going to know what it's like to ride one of these little custom bikes, and you're really missing out. So sometimes it's a give and take, and you just got to work with it. You get better at it as you do it. It is what it is. Personally, I think it's completely worth it. It's almost like I knew it was coming. For the rear fender, I'm going to have to bore out the 2 holes. Reason being, I'm upgrading my hardware a little bit. This is what they gave you stock, and here's what we're going to. These do, however, fit through the tabs, so hopefully we can get away with just doing the fenders, and we won't have to pull the wheel to drill this tab and this one down here on that cross member that we conveniently left on this mini bike. With the fender mounted, I can now mark out the relief cut for the chain clearance. I'll take a little extra on each side, that way when things are slapping around, we're not catching plastic. Swish. That's all it took. The whole reason we're keeping this rear fender is to help protect our vital organs. The exhaust is going to fit right around here, and I'm not too worried about that. But on this other side, we have the carburetor, and we'll have our crankcase ventilation system. Everything is going to come together right here, and then it'll vent out remotely, but it would behoove us to protect this the best we can. Once this is assembled, we might swap to the manifold that was also on the custom vintage mini bike. It's sort of a flex manifold that gave us a bit of a kickback. So we used it on that bike to make up for the engine angle, right? For the mount, we'll just turn it so that we're making up for, you know what I mean? Or, I don't know what you want to call it, danger zone, and trying to get it kicked back a little bit. That way, if you exit the bike, you're not just whack, you know, taking out your carburetor or your filter. Here's that adjustable flex manifold I was talking about. It's just made out of 2 separate units and a silicone bend. I cut it down to size so that you can push both of these ends in all the way. What you do is attach this end down here to the intake port, tighten it, slide the silicone on, and then you twist it to whatever direction you need the carburetor to go in, tighten it, and then you can loosen this end and you can twist this manifold so that you can level your carburetor. It's pretty sweet. And once these tubes are pushed down inside this silicone, they do not like to come out. Up front, we're going to add a number plate. I already held this one up to it, and it is just not the right color red. It doesn't match anything on the mini bike. What does match is the black. Even though it blacks out the entire front end, it kind of counters the rear fender and the seat. I'll get it on there so you can see. First, I just have to transfer these two holes. I already checked. They line up. I'll put it over and then just burn through with the drill bit. Sometimes it's the stupidest little modification that makes all the difference. That number plate really balances things out. I think we could use a little more blue. And also some protection right around here. We can get the best of both worlds with one of these standard 30 series torque converter covers. This one is partially cut out for the chain clearance in the back already. I'm just going to take it a little further. I like mine with, you know, a healthy inch or so. I don't mind being able to see mechanical things. I'm going to cut those back, and then we're going to address this area up here. Yeah? That's boss. No matter what we do, that's not going to be an issue. This chain tension might be, and we'll address that, but we won't have to revisit that. The next thing is a little bit of relief up here for the old Torquezilla. I just used the bottom of this Cool Whip container and then held my Sharpie right up flush to it. Made a nice circle all the way around. Not too bad. I'm getting better with this thing. If you hold it at a little bit of an angle, you can work a circle a whole lot easier than if you just try to cut straight into it. So, one piece. See how we did. Wham bam ba jam. That's actually perfect right where it's at. We're almost lined up with the factory holes, and this shouldn't be an issue at all. I'm going to clean this up a little bit with a file and then get some hardware on there. I found something a little better than a file in the same drawer. Just hit it on a low speed, that way I didn't melt the plastic, and then just went over it with a quick sandpaper. This might have a little bit of self-clearancing to do, but overall I'm happy with that. I just added a fan shroud and a pull starter, sitting back on this nice comfortable seat, arms out, in a good position, looking down. I can see I have the same amount of foot peg on both sides. On the left, put your foot up and you are below the driver. Your leg goes against the cover and you can see it's comfortably in front of your shin. Over on this side, your foot goes up, your leg goes against the fan shroud starter area, and it ends up just above your foot and basically in front of your shin as well. In the next video, we're going to install the throttle, knock out the vent system. I have some fresh brake pads. We'll swap that manifold and even try out a tensioner. The list goes on and on when it's a work in progress. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.